Hello and welcome back to Kim Reads. The next Samantha story is Happy Birthday, Samantha. Chapter 1, Petticoats and Pettifours. Surprise! Shouted two excited voices. Happy birthday, Samantha. Samantha sat up and rubbed her eyes. Two red-headed curly tops whirled her into her room, jumped up on her bed, and pushed a huge bouquet of roses into her arms. This is for you, said the redhead named Agnes. Jiminy! Exclaimed Samantha. It's beautiful. We made it ourselves, added Agnes proudly. Agatha looked exactly like Agnes. They were Aunt Cornelia's twin sisters. Now that Uncle Gard and Cornelia were married, Agnes and Agatha were Samantha's newest friends and favorite relatives. So Uncle Gard and Aunt Cornelia got married in June, and this is a springtime story, and summer starts June 21st, so, anyway, Samantha put her nose deep into the roses. Thank you, she said. No one ever gave me flowers for my birthday before. I knew you'd like them, said Agnes happily. It was my idea to give you a bouquet. Well, it was my idea to wrap them in lace, insisted Agatha. Samantha looked at the bottom of the bouquet. Where did you get all this nice lace? She asked. It looks like it came off of a petticoat. The twins looked at each other and giggled. Did you cut up your petticoat? Samantha asked. Not exactly, said Agatha. She leaned back and twisted one of her red curls around her finger. They were already ripped where the ruffle was attached. We just sort of held the rip get bigger until the ruffle fell off. Gosh, said Samantha. Grandma would be furious if I cut up one of my petticoats. Won't your mother be angry? Oh, no, said Agnes lightly. The petticoat was getting too small for us anyway. Besides, said Agatha, our mother is used to us and our ideas by now. Samantha laughed out loud. Sometimes it seemed to her that Agnes's and Agatha's ideas spilled out all over the place, like popcorn popping out of a pot. During the week of their visit, the twins had turned Grandmary's house in Mount Bedford topsy-turvy. Samantha liked it that way. Agnes sprawled on Samantha's bed, swinging her legs over the side. Hurry and get dressed, she said. We smelled something absolutely scrumptious coming in from the kitchen. Ooh, I bet Mrs. Hawkins is making a birthday treat for breakfast, said Samantha as she scrambled out of bed. I'll get dressed in a jiffy. She pulled out her long underwear out of a drawer. Oh, don't bother with that, said Agnes. No one wears long underwear anymore. Agnes and Agatha were from New York City, so they knew all the latest fashions. I have to wear it, sighed Samantha. It's one of Grandmary's rules. Long underwear from September to the end of June. She pulled the itchy underwear onto one leg. Jeepers, exclaimed Agatha. What an old-fashioned rule. You'll roast if you wear them today. Samantha held out her leg and looked at the underwear. I do hate it, she said. Then don't wear it, said Agnes simply. Make up your own mind for once. Samantha sat up straight. I'm 10 years old today, she said. I guess that's enough. That's old enough to think for myself about things like underwear. She pulled off the underwear, rolled it up into a ball, and shoved it in the back of her dresser drawer. When she pulled out her stockings on over her bare legs, she felt deliciously light and free. Come on, she said to the twins as she buttoned over her dress. Let's go to breakfast. She grabbed her bouquet off of the bed. I can't wait to show these to Hawkins. Hawkins has already seen them, said Agatha as the girls trotted down the hall. They're from his rosebush. Samantha stopped still. Uh-oh, she said. No one is allowed to touch Hawkins' special rosebush. No one. Oh, don't worry, laughed Agnes. There were millions of roses on that bush. Hawkins won't mind that we borrow a few. And to Samantha's surprise, Agnes was right. Hawkins didn't mind about the roses. What a lovely birthday surprise, he said. His eyes twinkled. Mrs. Hawkins and I have a birthday surprise for you too, Miss Samantha. He pushed open the kitchen door, and there was Mrs. Hawkins with a plate of blueberry muffins. One of the muffins had a candlestick right in the middle. Ooh, exclaimed Samantha, blueberry muffins. Quick, make a wish, said Agatha. Blow out the candle. That's easy, laughed Samantha. She shut her eyes shut and wished that being 10 would be completely different from being 9. She was ready for some changes. Then she blew the candle out with one puff. As the twins clapped, Mrs. Hawkins said, Well, that was easy. but this afternoon you'll have a cake with 10 candles. You'll surely have to huff and puff then, love. Agatha bounced on her head. I have a wonderful idea, Mrs. Hawkins, she exclaimed. Instead of one cake with 10 candles, you could make 10 little cakes and put a candle in each of them. 10 cakes? Asked Mrs. Hawkins. She sounded doubtful. 10 little teeny tiny cakes, said Agatha. They're called petite fours. Ladies have them all the fancy tea parties in New York. Petite fours, Samantha repeated. They sound so elegant. Could you try to make them, Mrs. Hawkins? Please? Well, I don't know, said Mrs. Hawkins said slowly. We've never had anything so different before. That's why it's such a wonderful idea, pleaded Samantha. No one in Mount Bedford had ever had 10 cakes. All the girls would be so surprised. Mrs. Hawkins smiled at Samantha. If you want 10 cakes, then you shall have them, love. She said, I guess I could try something new. I have an idea for something new, too, Agnes piped up. What if you shape each girl's ice cream in a little ice cream mold? That's how they do it at the big ice cream parlors in the city. Mrs. Samantha was very excited. The twins had such good ideas. Can we change the ice cream, too? She asked Hawkins, except I still want it to be peppermint. That's my absolute favorite kind. Samantha Hawkins laughed. We can change the shape of the ice cream without changing the flavor, he said. As soon as I've washed the ice cream freezer, you can help me make it. Meanwhile, you chickadees can scoot outside, said Mrs. Hawkins, rolling up her sleeves. I don't want you underfoot while I'm making your petite fours. Samantha and the twins finished their blueberry muffins and carried them outside in the sunshine. The trees were covered with little shiny green leaves, as if they decorated themselves in honor of Samantha's birthday. Samantha was telling the twins how the ice cream was made when a voice behind them said, Hey, carrot heads. It was Eddie Ryland, Samantha's pesky next-door neighbor. Agnes scowled at him. Don't say hey, she said. Hay is for horses. You ought to know, said Eddie. You eat like a horse. The girls rolled their eyes at each other while Eddie laughed at his own joke. So what are you ninnies doing today? He went on. Nothing, said all three girls quickly. But just at that moment, Hawkins appeared with a freezer. I know you're going to make ice cream, said Eddie. I know everything about ice cream. I'll help. No, said the girls in one voice. You just go away, Eddie, Agatha ordered. Who's going to make me? Eddie challenged. I'll make you, Agatha began. Samantha saw Agatha was making a fist. She knew Agatha would punch Eddie right in the nose if she wanted to. Not even Grandmary's strictest rule, girls don't fight, would stop Agatha once she was mad. All right, Eddie, Samantha said quickly. You can help us make us ice cream, but don't be a pest. She whispered to the twins. Just ignore him. Maybe he'll go away. The girls and Eddie watched as Hawkins poured ice chips into the ice cream freezer. Now it's time to add salt, said Samantha. She picked up handfuls of rock salt from a sack and poured it onto the ice. Just use enough to keep the ice melted, said Hawkins. And keep it away from the lid of the container, Eddie said in a know-it-all voice, because if any salt gets inside, the ice cream will be ruined. We don't need you to boss us around, Eddie, said Agatha. She pushed her shoulder in front of the Eddie to block the view. The ice cream is going to be the best ice cream anyone ever ate, Samantha said happily as Hawkins began turning the crank of the freezer. I can't wait to taste it, said Agnes. Me either, said Samantha. Me either, said Agatha. Me either, said Eddie, but the girls just ignored him. And that's the end of that chapter. See you later.